To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my favorite parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Reverend Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Sean, the Rev. Welcome to my haunted home, my very haunted home. Quite active today, and I have a feeling it's due to my very special guest, who I'm going to bring on shortly. Real quick, I feel today like lighting a candle for all of you, all of us, and saying a bit of quick scripture once again for all of us. And this candle for all of us is in honor of St. Francis, who said, "All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle." Amen. This candle will burn for all of us until the show is over, and I will take it into the room where I have all the candles burning. Some quick scripture for what ails you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Because the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp to save you and give up your enemies before you. Therefore, your camp must be holy. Amen. All right, brothers and sisters, a couple of quick announcements, and we'll get right to my very special guest. Anything you want to know about me, my wife and I, and our ministry work here in Las Vegas, Nevada, you can find out at our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And at that website, if you go to visit, keep in mind that my wife and I do not charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, but if you're there visiting and you notice the button and you're able to do so, click the donate button and send a small donation in. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and it will be put to good use, I assure you. While you're there visiting, remember that in addition to being an ordained exorcist, I am also a spiritual advisor, intuitive coach. And if you are having issues of a spiritual nature, not necessarily attached to the paranormal, and you would like to speak to the Rev about those issues, you can make an appointment to speak with me on the page entitled Spiritual Advisor. But don't leave the website before navigating back to the page entitled the WSE course/book. When you go in there, you'll first see the ghost store, and you'll find a lot of cool things in there to buy, like this cool throwback Ghost Be Gone cup, like the really cool Ghost Be Gone throwback t-shirt behind me hanging on the painting, some other things. But scroll down, you'll run into my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry, a true story inspired by spirit and divine intervention. And I quote, the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But please don't let that scare you off from buying a copy. Part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And if you've already purchased my book, you're a part of that support group, so God bless you. Scroll a little further down on that page and you will find the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I am a founding member of. For all of you spiritual warriors and warriors for Christ that hunger for the knowledge to know how to draw your line in the sand and make a stand and put up the good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling, that's the course for you. 12-week online course, college level. So all of my graduates get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly, the Rev. And I ask that all of you please keep my past, current, and future students also in your prayers. Okay, guys, the moment of truth here. I love this lady. She's a friend, intuitive channel, author, QHHT practitioner, and so much more. Her resume and the list goes on and on and on. Please welcome to the show my friend, Christi Clemons Hoffman. Christi, are you with us today? I hope we get you, Christi. I know she's been having some issues in her neck of the woods, internet-wise. You know, she's, I wouldn't say smack dab in where it's really, really bad, the weather, but pretty bad. She had some, she couldn't get into her garage. It froze. There she is.
Here I are.
How are you? I understand.
I'm good. That's too bad you could not hear me or see me. What a lovely introduction, Sean. Thank you so much.
It's heartfelt. You know it. You know I love you and respect you. You and I have to quit meeting like this. People are going to start talking.
I hope so. I hope they do, Sean, because I just adore you.
Well, listen, it happens. This is live stream. I know you are having some internet issues. I'm just glad that you're here. Everybody here that tuned in today, I've been getting a lot of messages from your fans and followers excited that you're here today. So we all understand how it is. And if you freeze up a little bit or your mouth doesn't match all the time to what you're saying, or we lose you momentarily and get you back, I'll take anything I can get. I'm just glad to have you here. So let's get right to it. Most important thing I want to know, 2020, how crazy was that? Hopefully 2021 is not going to be worse at the very least. How are you, your family, everyone close to you, everyone that you love? How's everyone doing during the pandemic?
That's awfully sweet, Sean. We're incredibly blessed. Now, I have one nephew who was very, very ill with COVID and was in the hospital and was really touch and go for a while. And two nephews and a niece up in northern Idaho who had it, but they had it pretty mild. But thank God we've not lost anybody. And we've been, my immediate family's been healthy. So I can't complain. My heart goes out, Sean, to the people in Texas and some of the other states who are having so many issues with the weather. Good God, they're not prepared for that type of thing. They can't even get coats and scarves and, all of that stuff and heaters where they are. So my heart really goes out to them. And if anyone's listening, just please know that you're in my prayers.
Oh, it's heartfelt too, and those that are listening that are going through that, they appreciate that and they feel your love and light being spread their way. Yeah, that's a terrible thing. I know you're. I don't know exactly where you're at, but I know you are in Central Time Zone. But you've been hit by it too. I was reading somewhere you got froze out of your garage.
Yeah, my garage door froze shut, and it's an external garage. It's like detached, so I couldn't get in. So I said, okay, well, I'm not going anywhere for a while, nor that I wanted to. And so I was very happy to stay inside. That is so sweet of you to think of that. We had a toilet freeze and we had the downstairs bathroom sink freeze as well. And they both thawed and no broken pipes, thank God. So knock on wood. No, we've been tremendously blessed. Thank you. And you there in Las Vegas, my God, if it were to snow and to get to freezing temperatures, you guys would all freak out.
And we have, and I do. I remember we were not too long ago. We had a bad, of all things, snowstorm here. All my friends went downtown to take pictures of Vegas snowed in, and it didn't even look like the same town. But I looked out right behind my camera here is my big window that looks into my backyard. I kid you not, I opened up. I didn't expect it. It had been snowing all night. Sharon had already left for work. I'm doing my usual thing here in the office. Who knows what I'm doing? And I happened to open my window to look, and I didn't even recognize what I was looking at. The sun was just starting to come up. It looked like the very last scene of the movie The Shining. I'm expecting Jack Nicholson to run across my backyard carrying an axe. I mean, we were snowed in, and I got really panicky and scared, and it was still coming down heavy. I called Sharon right away, and I thought, I don't think anybody there is going to blame you if you say I probably should go home now while I can get home, because I thought if she waited any longer, she might not be able to come home because it was that bad. But we're not ready for it here.
No, you don't have no tires. You don't know how to drive in that stuff, and you have ice melt. I mean, why would you?
Oh my gosh. What else happened that was fun this past week? Did you have a nice Valentine's Day?
Oh, it was low key. I had some clients who were driving up from Arkansas to have a QHHT session with me, and they moved back. In fact, they moved back twice. They were supposed to come this weekend then, and then they said, well, it looks like it still could be kind of bad, so they're pushing it back another week. So it was low key. Yeah, how about you and Sharon?
You know what? As usual, I always blow Valentine's Day. I had a lot of plans. We had decided no gifts this year.
Right.
So I kept my end of the bargain. She buys me 2 gifts. And then I said, okay, well, this is my bailout move. I'll go out and pick up dog poop because I've got 2 dinosaurs roaming around the property here. That's a big deal. So
Yeah.
I would do that. By the time I walk out there to do it, she'd already done it. Okay, so now she's in the later in the day, she's in the shower, and I decide, okay, I'm going to cook dinner tonight. Don't have a clue what I'm going to do, and I don't know if she'd been to the market recently, but I'm going to cook dinner. I'll make something. I went to the bathroom, and I know this is TMI. I don't think I was in there that long, but I get out, I walk into the kitchen, she's already making dinner.
You couldn't get a break.
Yeah, so she's a saint. Everybody knows that. It is what it is, but for me, it was a great Valentine's Day. What I laughed at, though, I noticed that you posted something about like a, for lack of a better term, a love potion type of drink, and you had on your, that looked delicious. And I was interested to know if you had made some and used it and now have a new boyfriend.
No boyfriends. I'm taking applications. And and no, I have not tried it. Actually, that was my virtual assistant who posted that. And didn't it look yummy? It had like honey and I think rose petals and matcha. Oh my gosh, it sounded so delicious. And I think that anything that you make with an intent and an intention, you put that in it and it's going to come through in the food. It's like that movie, like Water for Chocolate. It's a movie from Mexico. I don't know if you've seen it, but this woman in Mexico, she makes food for all of her people, and she just puts so much of herself into it that the people who eat her food just feel her emotions.
Wow, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, there's one scene where she's like feeling really like passionate, and she puts this all into her food. Everybody eats it, and then they all pair off and run off to their rooms after dinner.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're in my prayers. I know you put out so much love and light to everybody. You deserve that too. I know you're single, so I pray that Mr. Right, not just right now, but Mr. Right comes a knocking one of these days when you least expect it. And it's always like that, but you deserve that. And it's going to happen. You're too special of a person to not have a Mr. Special love and light guy in your life. So it's going to happen. But listen, I wanted to wait. I had something planned, and this wasn't planned until about a day ago. But a couple of days ago, something happened here. Now I'm going to do a little experiment. It's the first time I've done it on the show. And I wanted to wait till I had everybody tuning in because I have a message for somebody that I think is out there watching. And as we talk about it, he or she will know who we're talking about. But a friend of mine who, like you, very gifted trance channel medium, got a message from Spirit that there's somebody watching the show today that is looking for validation from an experience she or he recently had, and they're looking for validation for it, and it's to come hopefully from Spirit. So my friend says, do you have anything a spirit can talk through at your house? I said, the only thing I have, and I don't really do any conjuring, so I'm not going to break out the Ouija board and none of that, but I do have a very old school ghost box that I used to use a lot back in the day that works. She goes, that'll work. I'm also not going to conjure, so I'm not going to ask any questions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to let it scroll through all of the channels at least once from start to finish, and then turn it off. If I get a message, I'll share it. If I don't, I don't. If anybody out there watching gets a message from this ghost box and you want to share it with us, you can put it in the comments. Christi, I will talk to you afterwards, see if you got anything from the ghost box. But most importantly, maybe the person is watching and they will get a message from it and validation. And if you or her, he or she, we're talking to you and you know that we're talking about you, if you do get a message from this, we would love it if you shared with us. So we're going to do that now. Okay. I'll tell you what I thought I heard. I think I did hear a name, and I heard a woman's name, and what I thought I heard was Judy or Judith.
Interesting.
And of course, there's also some languages there that foreign, of course, that could just be, I don't raise the antenna on the ghost box if I'm in a city. Now, sometimes I raise the antenna on it if I'm out in the country, but I try to limit its ability to just grab onto radio frequency and just scroll, tumble through the stations, create its own white noise. And so that's what I thought I heard. I did hear some what might have been some quick phrases. Once again, if he or she is out there and you know we're talking about you, if you received something from that and you got validation, share with us. We'd love that. If any of you, the rest of you out there watching, if you think you've heard something on there that you would like to share with us, by all means, please do. And what did you feel, if anything, Christi?
Yeah. So before you started the God box, what I was feeling was a feeling in my upper GI, like solar plexus, around the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, up in that area. So I don't know if that means anything to this person. I also got a beautiful image of mountains. So perhaps they're close to mountains, or mountains meant something to this person. I also felt that there was a young person connected somehow, part of the mix. Maybe they've got a young adult or an older teenager in the family. That is important. As far as the God box, I heard just bits and pieces from what I was hearing over it's coming over the internet. You're probably going to hear it a lot more clearly. I heard or this, who this, that's what, okay, and then body go. That's about all I could make out. I received some interference in my own body from that, so I was not able to really connect with it. But I was using listening, and that's what I heard. So I don't know if that even makes any sense or means anything to anybody.
Well, let's hope it does. I'll say a prayer that it does, and maybe this person will surprise us and pop on here and let us know that they got the validation they needed. I haven't used this thing in a long time. To me, well, I've got my headphones still on. Hopefully it was loud enough to everybody else. Could you hear it loud?
Fairly loud, yes.
I had it up to as close to the mic as possible. Probably needs to have new batteries put in. Like I said, I haven't used it in years, and it's old. I mean, it's one of the first models that came out. So hopefully that happened. And I love your cat there. You know what? I'm going to go ahead now that your cat is here trying to be on the show, which I love. I'm going to ask you about animal communication. Do you do much of that?
I do all the time.
I need help.
What's going on, Sean?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, when we first moved in, there was a old Russian blue, looked like the original church from the original Pet Cemetery, roaming the property here. We come to realize it belonged to the neighbors next door. Those neighbors then, their house burned down. And while they were having it rebuilt, they left, of course, but they left their cat behind. After a few days, the cat's like, "Are you kidding me? Everybody bailed on me." So he or she, we don't even know if it was a male or female, came over and started hanging out in front of our yard like, "Hey, can you help a brother out?" And so we put a carrier out there for the cat, food and water all the time, cover the carrier up with a big quilt, put it under the eave near the front door. The cat, by the time the house got done and the family moved back, the cat didn't want anything to do with them. It hung out here. So one day, not too long after that, this little kitten, I'm telling you, I mean, I'm surprised she lived because she was that tiny, came walking up our driveway, solid white cat, eyes like mine, but they're like this. They were cross-eyed and solid white. This Russian blue tried everything to chase this little cat off, but it wouldn't go anywhere. Finally stayed. Finally, the Russian blue was like, whatever, you can move in. So we put another carrier out, covered it with a quilt, put pillows inside, water and food out by it, put it underneath the front door. So that cat, one day, the Russian blue, we could tell it was getting very sickly and old, and it just didn't show up back up one day. We searched everywhere for it, and we felt bad that, we weren't able to take it in and to the clinic we work at and have it euthanized before it just died somewhere. We felt bad about that. But we'd had the other cat for over 10 years. She developed a brain tumor, and we had to put her down a couple of weeks ago. Now, here's the crazy thing. The day Sharon brought her ashes back, and I made a little makeshift little celebratory place for her, which is to my right here, we started hearing kids run up and back in the attic. Well, I realized right away after a couple of days of hearing that, I said to Sharon, I don't think that's kids at all. I think that's Snowflake because she's used to sneak into the attic and run back and forth and make us think kids were up there, but it was her. So I said, you just brought the ashes home. That's what it is. But right before she got really sick, out of nowhere, these 4 cats show up. And it looks like a mom and a dad and 2 of their kittens that have stayed with them. They're just here. It's almost like they helped Snowflake move on because they seem to be very protective and kind of clingy to her. Like they helped her move on. Now they're here. Now we got these 4 cats. Sharon brings home 2 more carriers. Now we're taking care of them. But what's that all about? Can you tap into that? Are they here for good? Are they in visitation? Are these like spirit guides in the forms of these animals? Or did they come to help our cat move on? And is our cat here in our attic now?
Okay, let me parse this out and separate it out. Well, first of all, I work with photographs. So I tune in to the vibration of the photograph of the pet. Let me figure this out here. Okay, so the first question is that snowflake up in the attic. Second question is is this family unit going to stick around? Is that accurate? Wasn't there another question in there too?
No, that's accurate because I'm scared. I know this is really out of right field, but I caught the father apparently trying to either have sex with the mom or with one of the babies under Sharon's car the other day. I broke it up. I felt bad breaking it up, but I'm like, oh my God, that's all I need now is one of them to get pregnant and go up in the attic or somewhere and have this litter. So I was concerned about that. So yeah, are they here? Are they here in visitation or do they plan on moving in?
Okay, let me tackle the snowflake in the attic first. I'm seeing that there might be actual children spirits in the attic who respond well to cats and just are delighted to have a cat in the house. Do you have another cat in the house as well?
No, I have 2 dogs in the house, but the cats have the run of the garage, the attic, and the whole front and backyard.
Yeah, and so bringing Snowflake back, I feel just gave these children more energy to run back and forth. Have you identified any children spirits in your attic?
Well, we've seen 2 since we've moved into the home. We on occasion, on and off, have seen 2 kids, spirit children here. So that I buy into that too. But I figured Snowflake was in that mix somewhere.
Right. Well, they were just enchanted to have that. And the thing is that the people who pass on pets too, they don't stay with their body. They go where they felt good. They go where they feel attached. That's why people always feel so creeped out about cemeteries. And it can happen that the deceased can stick around cemeteries, but typically they go where they lived. And I went down to the catacombs in Paris. It was just miles of underground caves, full ceiling to floor of bones, and in some places arranged in shapes and decorative motifs and things. And people were saying, "Isn't that creepy? Isn't that spooky? Did you see anything?" And I said, "The only thing I saw was there's this one guy who was a worker there, and he was long gone, and he just wanted to stay because he enjoyed working on it and thought somebody should watch over it." But no, they typically don't stay where their bodies are anyway. And then the animals, this family, very rare for a mated pair of cats to stay together. So I'm just checking into the energy if they're going to stay around. I feel like they're perfectly happy to stay outside and very perfectly happy to get the free food outside.
Yeah.
Right? That they're happy to do that, but they would like to stick around if that's okay.
I'll keep an eye on the females, and if I told Sharon it is what it is. If we hear kittens up in the attic, I'll have to just crawl up there, get the litter down, and we can always take them to our clinic. And everybody there loves kittens. That they would feed them, make sure they lived, and then people would just adopt them. They'd find homes. So I said it's just something we're going to have to do if it happens in the garage or up in the attic and we hear the cats. I just hope one, a little cat up in the roof does, at the edges of the attic, I'm sure you can fall down in between the walls. So I always have that fear. But I had the sense that they were here too, but thought it was so interesting that we have never seen another cat here but her until she had gotten sick. And these 4 showed up and seemed to be clingy to her, protective. And I wondered if they were kind of, helping her transition to this, because the next thing I know, she was, she loved us, but outdoor cat, you didn't handle her much. But now at the end there, she allowed us to handle her, get her in her carrier, take her to the hospital. So I think that there was something there, some type of bond between her and these other cats that in her adventures out met and made friends with. So I thought that was very cool. Yeah, the cats, I'm an animal person. They know not to come in the house because the dinosaurs are in here, and they know just to go in the backyard in one area that's fenced off where the dinosaurs can't get to them, but they can go anywhere else in the front yard and into the garage if they want. So it is what it is.
In Kansas City, we have organizations that will trap and neuter cats. They clip their ears to show that they've been altered, and then they let them go again. So maybe you can do that with these other feral cats. But
we thought about that. I feel. Do they release them again? Would they bring them back here and release them?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do that if I can make them promise me they'll do that, because I would hate to think of them either being, euthanized or not being brought back, because I know it must be terribly frightening for them to be caught in a trap and then taken somewhere. But I do believe it's time to get whoever is, the guy that's, full of the, the love bug. He needs to be neutered, and the females probably too, or we're going to be overrun by cats here, I have a feeling. But
so you might want to check out the organizations that do that and make sure that you vet them, no pun intended, but check them out to make sure that they do release them. Here in Kansas City, you can drop them off, have them neutered, come pick the cats up, and then you turn them loose wherever you found them. But
very cool.
Check out your own location there.
Well, I want to talk to you about something else which I found very interesting. I stalked you a little bit this week leading up to this interview today, and you had a live stream every morning. You come on live on one of your pages there, Angel's Guidance with Christi Clemons Hoffman on Facebook, and you talked about I'm gonna call it spirit spam calls. You had gotten this series of odd either text messages or calls from numbers that
yes,
tell that story, because then I'm going to share a story with you about this. People don't think this stuff happens, but it does. They can manipulate weather. They can manipulate electronics. Very often I'll have other clergy on here and we'll start talking about cases we've worked. My computer system shuts down. So share that story with my viewers. That was fascinating what you went through there.
Right, right. And that's why the God box works so well, because on the other side, they're pure positive energy. They're energy. Energy can manipulate energy. And so they're manipulating the frequency waves and the radio waves to have messages. And yeah, I wasn't sure what you were talking about there, but oh my God, that was so crazy. But there was a lot going on in one short period, all during this Mercury retrograde, which does end today. Mercury goes direct on Sunday. And so, well, the first thing that happened, and this is before the calls came, that I had done a QHHT session with someone, and he had gone to a lifetime underground with this alien race underground, and described being there in the buildings, and there were other beings like him, etc. And I had some very specific questions about these beings under the earth, and so I had him seek out someone who I could talk to and understand what was going on. And so he did. He brought in some other beings. So I started asking some very specific questions about where they were, and just other questions that were kind of related. So I record the sessions, right? And so I was recording the session, and I record on my iPad, and I use Voice Recorder Plus, and it's one of these programs that tells you it gives you the little sound signals that go up and down. And so I start the recording, and all of a sudden it's completely blown out, Sean. The whole screen was white. And I said, that's not right. I unplugged the microphone. That helped it only slightly. And so I stopped the recording, tried to keep him hypnotized. I started it again, and there was still a lot of interference, but it wasn't as bad. But you could still tell that there was a lot going on. So after the session, I listened to the recordings. The first recording, it was all buzz. You could not make out any words. The second recording, you can make out words. There was an audible buzz. Anyway, I sent it to somebody who has I don't know what you call it, a digital voice analyzer, some sort of thing that checks frequencies. And he ran it through the system, and come to find out that it was a frequency that doesn't seem to be generated by man, and it was a very metallic, robotic type of frequency, and a frequency that could penetrate the Earth's crust. And I thought, well, now that's interesting. Wow. And so, yeah, and so this is all part of a research project that I'm doing with using QHHT to investigate a couple of certain scientific principles, kind of quantum physics type of principles, as well as cataloging different races of aliens. And so there's a lot more to that session than I can really talk about. So, but I know that there are some organizations and some beings that we have to be very careful about naming or talking about. I hope I haven't said too much, but I thought, well, that was interesting if these beings had manipulated this recording. Then jump forward a day or two, and I'm getting a ton of spam calls. Now, things were already kind of feeling kind of weird because of that recording and the news that I'd found out about it. So somebody's interested in what I'm doing and has me on the radar. Not saying that was related to these calls, but it was interesting. So I was getting a bunch of like spam calls. They were coming up as missed calls. And so sometimes people call me. In fact, quite often people will call me and want to know about, what are your rates? How do I set up an appointment? Where are you located? That kind of thing. Do you do this? Do you do that? And so, but my phone does not give me messages. Sometimes for up to like 2 days, I won't get the message, the voicemail. So I was like, oh my God, somebody's like, who's calling me? And about that time, I was getting a bunch of spam calls too. And I thought, well, it could be spam, could be somebody calling me. So I called this lady back. Well, I didn't know it was a lady. I called back, just returned the call on one of these numbers. And I left a message. This is Christi Clemons Hoffman. I missed a call from you. If you've been trying to schedule an appointment or you'd like to know more about my services, please give me a call back. And then I heard from her later that afternoon. So she called me back. She said, I did not call you, but out of curiosity, what do you do? And I told her, I'm a Reiki master, a medium, and a hypnotherapist. She goes, oh my God. If she was sitting across from me, I would have seen all the color drain out of her face. I mean, she was shaken. She's like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this is happening. This is just too weird. What are the chances? I'm freaking out. And I said, what is going on? And she goes, oh my God, I need someone like you. I didn't know who to turn to. And she said, this is just too weird that you would just call me so randomly. I did not call you. And so I was kind of shaken too. Well, the next day, I received a bunch more calls. I called one of them back, and a person actually answered. And he says, yeah, hi, this is Patrick. What can I do for you? And I said, well, my name is Christy. I missed a call from your number. Did you happen to call to inquire about my services or schedule an appointment? No, but what do you do? And I said, I'm a medium and a Reiki master and a hypnotherapist. He says, oh my God.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm a second grade teacher, and I was just talking to my kids about ghosts. Are they real? What happens after you die, etc. Now, I'm thinking, you're a second grade teacher in class. Why did you answer the phone at 11 o'clock in the morning? But he says, I think I need to get your information. And so he took that down. So this was just too weird, Sean. Two people in 2 different days. Now, I had said this on one of my lives, and somebody who was watching said, oh, those are spoof calls. Or just, what do they call? There was a number spoofing. I wrote it down, number spoofing, that they use a number that's similar enough to your own that you would, of course, answer it. And I said, I get that, but what are the chances that I would actually call somebody back and they were just talking about the services that I offer or just needing someone who does what I do? And so I thought that was really strange. And so I got a little bit rattled, I'm not going to lie, with this bizarre record. And I tested my iPad again afterward. I had never had those problems before. I haven't had them since. And I tested it immediately after. There was no buzz, no interference, nothing. So it was leaving me a little bit freaked out, and I'm not going to lie.
I would be freaked out too.
Right? And so I thought, well, what just happened to change the frequency of everything, right? What just happened to bring this through?
You have a helper on the other side. You have you have a spirit publicist.
Agent.
A spirit agent working for you on the other side. That's pretty incredible. And I can see, where does the school teacher live? Near you?
Yes.
Maybe you will be one of those bring your medium to school day guests, and he can introduce you. You can give a little spirit speech to the kids. That would blow their minds.
I think their parents would probably have to sign some sort of permission slip for that.
Yeah. A lot of people think that stuff doesn't happen, and I'm telling you right now. I think of a time when Sharon and I were on our way home from a case. It was 3 a.m, and
hang on just a second, Sean. I'm hearing other voices coming on. Are you hearing that?
I am, and I'm trying to not necessarily ignore it, but I was hoping if they made sense to you, you could, you just got done talking about some people that might not want you talking about them. And obviously they're talented to pretty much do whatever they want to do on this format that we're on. So yes, I heard them, and I just thought I'd let the professional handle that.
I wanted to bring it to your attention. Wanted to see if you actually heard that.
Well, I'm wondering if it was because I'm about to talk about two different cases that
Please do.
had something to do with something really malevolent. And Sharon received a phone call, and she has a phone that a call cannot come through unless there is a number attached to it. So she can determine if she wants to answer it or not. The phone's even smart enough to say spam call. I think it even says the word spam, potential spam, I think it says, or something. But this phone, we're on our way home from a case, 3 in the morning, the phone's ringing, no call, no caller ID. I told her to go ahead and answer it anyhow because I thought it might be the client that we just left who was in a bad situation and she might need us to come back. So Sharon answered it and there was nobody there. But that night, the haunting in the home with this thing started immediately once we got home. So I always wondered if there was any if we were already attached or if the act of answering that phone somehow allowed that attachment to take place. And then I had a client who it was a full possession case. And she told me in my interview, I communicate with this thing over the phone. And I didn't believe her, to be honest. I didn't tell her I didn't believe her, but I didn't believe her. Sure enough, Sharon and I and her friend who brought us in on the case all went over there together. And her phone starts ringing. And there's no number. There's nobody there when you answer it. Then she started receiving text messages. The text messages would appear, no phone number attached to it. And these messages, we couldn't understand them. But finally, I thought, well, I'm going to take them to an expert. I took it to a girl who actually worked in the phone company for many, many years, knows people right up to the very top, gave it to some experts there. They took that phone apart and they could not trace those calls back to anywhere. And they were in Latin. And these messages some of them were directed at Sharon and I. And we didn't know what these messages meant till afterwards. But most of them were meant for the girl. And she, of course, doesn't speak Latin, so she didn't know what they meant. But I mean, they can do this sort of stuff. And I remember one time some of my neighbors who have been here, as long as Sharon and I have, very few. We've been here almost 20 years in this neighborhood. There's maybe one or two people that are still here from when we moved in. Most of them are new people. But Sharon was working late one night. I came home from saying goodbye to some friends that were going back home to England. And I drove back home. I pulled in my driveway, and I sensed something was odd. At this time, I had 3 Mastiffs, different than the 2 that I have now, very protective of the house. I can hear them going nuts in the house. I get out of my car. I take 2 steps towards my car. I get hit with all these flashlights. SWAT dudes come out of everywhere, out of my bushes, from behind trees, from around the corner of my house, all on me in my driveway. I'm like, hey, what's going on? My hands are up. I'm like, I'm not armed. What's going on? They received a 911 call from my house. And I'm like, there can't be anybody in there, because I said, I don't even remember if I had a landline at the time because I had a business in my home. I said, there can't be anybody in there because my wife's working and I wasn't home. I'm just now getting home. Well, we received a 911 call from here, and one guy was really cool. So this is what we think happened. We didn't want to go in there because we knew if we did, we'd have to shoot your dog because they're going ballistic. And my 3 Mastiffs were going ballistic. We called animal control. They're on the way, because if you hadn't shown up, we have to get in there. We've already come here. We suspect somebody broke into your house and they're being torn apart by your dogs and they can't get out, and they called for help. They'd rather be arrested and go to jail for burglary and live than to die. I'm all, well, what are we gonna do now? He's all, we got to get in there. I'm all, well, please don't go and shoot my dogs. Tell you what, let me make a suggestion. I'll go in there. I'll round them all up into the master bedroom, lock them in there. I'll even open up the blinds and turn the light on. You guys can all look in through the master bedroom window, see the dogs, see that nobody's dead in there. Then I'll let you guys in. Worked like a charm. I got the dogs in the room, locked them in there. Nobody was dead in the master bedroom. I did a quick look through the house, didn't see anything, but I let the cops in there, turned my house upside down looking for evidence of a break-in or what was going on in there. Nothing.
So what was the 911 call about?
They don't know. They couldn't trace it back to any location other than coming from my house.
So did this caller say anything?
No.
Was it just
not that I know of. Maybe a hang up. But here's the crazy thing. To this day, I still don't know if it was just a mischievous spirit or something with more of a bad intent behind it. But all the neighbors, they came out because they see SWAT team, practically tackling me in my own driveway. And they want to know what's going on. So, like, to this day, it's a running joke of my neighbors. I've got everybody knows I live in a haunted house by now, but I'm the house that I've come home and had people tell me, we've seen and heard things going on in your home while you guys were gone. Do you want to know? And we go, if you want to tell us, great, but been there, done that. It won't matter what you tell us. But my neighbors have seen things while we were gone, but these things can be powerful enough to manipulate that sort of stuff. So, yeah. But
wow. And so, to answer your first question, things can, well, of course, manipulate your phone to have text, to ring, that type of thing. But once you say hello, once you make that open connection, you like acknowledge that connection, then they can come through and attach to you that way as well.
Very interesting.
Are you okay with being in a house with that level of activity? Surely you've cleansed it.
I'm looking at a shipment I just got in now of white sage that's been dipped in dragon's blood, sage and sweetgrass mixture, frankincense and myrrh from the Holy Land.
Okay.
Palo Santo wood. I mean, I do it probably weekly.
Sure. Now, the thing with sage is it just makes them sleepy. It doesn't get rid of them. It just makes them dormant.
What about, I'm interested, I've never used the dragon's blood white sage before. Everything that comes to me has already been blessed, then I bless it again. But someone said switch from just the regular white sage to the sage that's dipped in dragon's blood. So I'm interested to use it. It smells phenomenal. But usually I have that burning along with some of the incenses, the blessed incenses from the Holy Land. And got a message from Steve Crawford. Hi, Steve. I had a message left on my phone and I wasn't in the room.
My question is, what was the message?
Maybe that's TMI. It can happen, So I do bless the house all the time. And this is what me and Sharon, other than the time that Sharon is the survivor of an extreme demonic attack, as I am too, but mine happened at another location. But hers happened here in the home. Took us about 8 weeks to get the entity out of our home. And we haven't had that level of malevolence in the home since that time. Some drive-bys, some recon blasts, usually on the outside of the home, but nothing has made its way into the home. But we think there's plenty of protective spirits here, some in visitation, some attached, maybe to the home, but I think more so the land, because just about everywhere you go in Vegas Valley is Indian land, and I've got some Indian ancestry in my bloodline and background. So we've seen it all here, animals, children, you name it, but our spidey senses aren't up like they normally would be if there was something really malevolent here. But we'd rather not rock the boat. I bless and smudge, and just like you said, maybe get them sleepy. I don't make no deals with anybody. I just do what I got to do. We don't rock the boat too much. We don't do any remodeling, do any big changes. And after almost 20 years of living like that, you just get used to it. I have people that come over and visit. We're not even aware of stuff anymore, and they go, "Did you hear that? Did you see that? Did you feel that? No, what did you feel?" They'll tell us stuff, and we will just be like, we don't even notice it anymore.
Yeah, Steve says telling me I had a good team. Interesting. Cool. I bet you do, Steve.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
we live in a haunted house, and I'd had a ghost team come out and investigate it. Go, yeah, we didn't capture much, but you definitely got some stuff going on. And there was one of them. Well, one night I had a very vivid, specific dream that my dog was downstairs, and then I came down, and she was, oh no, this actually was not a dream. This actually did happen. So anyway, I came downstairs one morning and my dog was standing on the couch, which she never knew get on the couch. And she was barking. She was looking up toward the ceiling and she was going nuts. She was going to tear somebody's throat out. And there was nothing there, of course. And so I talked to the investigation team about that. And they had a psychic with them, Joyce Morgan. She's really good. This was a long time ago. It's before I started developing my gifts and working with people. And so she says, yeah, this was connected. There was somebody in Jesse James' gang who came through and, it just seems attached to this area. Of course, there'd been a house here before. My house is now 100 years old. It was in March of 2020. It's 100 years old now. And there had been another house on this property in my backyard. I was doing some digging and some gardening, and there's a stone wall under the ground, so there had to be some, farmhouse, whatever. But I hear, like, if I'm here by myself usually at night because it's quieter anyway, I hear music in the walls, all types of different eras from, like the 20s when the house was built, 60s and 70s, 40s, 30s music, all kinds of music. And hear people walking around. I had somebody over one night. In fact, I was teaching them about angels and things like that, how to connect. And I stopped. We were sitting in the living room, and I stopped, and I go, okay, do you hear that upstairs? And she says, yeah. I figured that was your husband or somebody. Well, I'm not married, and nobody's home. And she goes, okay, well, it's good to have confirmation. And then when I was married, he worked nights. He would work at as like a bouncer in a bar to go through nursing school. And so he'd come home all hours of the night after his shift. And I would hear him come home. The dog would hear him too, go to the door, or go to the bedroom door, that is, expectantly. I hear footsteps downstairs. We wait, nobody's there. This happened all the time. And my daughter, I came home one evening because I was working. She's 14, so she could hang out by herself. I came home and she goes, I hear you come home, but you're not actually home. I said, okay, well, good to know. She says, the dog hears it too. And before we started recording, one of my cats was on the table here in my dining room, and he was looking up at the ceiling. And he was very interested in what's going on. I couldn't see anything going on. I heard voices in the living room. I'm like, okay, well, here we go. This will be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught a fairy on camera one time. My daughter was like first grade. We were doing her hair for something special at school. I put rollers in her hair the night before. We got up in the morning. She was taking the rollers out. And I was taking pictures of her, how cute her hair was. And this little fairy flew right in front of my camera, my phone, flew in front of my phone. And I said, oh, this will be interesting. So I clicked a picture and got a picture of a fairy. And
wow.
We have fairies around here too.
So I'm a big believer. I used to not be. I'm a big believer in the elementals. And, they've helped, I don't make deals. I've been criticized by others in my field that I've gone out and asked for their help for a time or two when I've had issues with my land, whether it be, like one time a tree was going to land on my house. I asked them to please make it go the other direction, and they did. I had issues with my water, protect the water system, water problems all the time until I went out there and asked them, could you guys just, knock it off and protect the water system? I'm going to do some stuff to fix some things. But, then after that, make sure nothing. Haven't, knock on wood, haven't had any issues since. So I'm a big believer in the elementals too. But before we run out of time, I want to make sure everybody knows the really important things they need to know about you. First, I want to give your two websites, which, wouldn't you know, I didn't write them down.
Well, I've got one.
Please give both your websites and your Facebook page, and then go right into explaining to everybody your QHHT practitioner. A friend
Sure.
just asked, what is that? I've asked you that question before, but I know you're one of only 26 people at a level 3 in the world at a QHHT practitioner. I find that amazing. So tell people your 2 websites, talk a little bit about the QHHT, especially if you have a course and or event coming up.
Sure. Well, first of all, I only have one website. I have 2 Facebook business pages. So maybe that's where the confusion came in. The website is Radiate Wellness Community, and Radiate Wellness is my group practice. We're a virtual wellness center, and we're international too. We've got 1 practitioner in Geneva, Switzerland, the rest kind of in the Kansas City area. And then my 2 Facebook business pages are the Radiate Wellness LLC page. And then myself, my private practice is Angels Guidance with Christi Clemons Hoffman. And I do daily, Monday through Friday, Facebook Lives, and post all of the events on both of those Facebook pages. I have coming up on the 27th of February is Finding Your Voice. It's a class about public speaking, but also just speaking up, speaking our truth. Sometimes, especially for women, we tend to shut our voice down. We feel like we're not heard. We feel like we don't have anything valuable to say. And so this class addresses that. What was the other question? Oh, QHHT. So QHHT is quantum healing hypnosis technique, and it was the technique that was developed by Dolores Cannon. So a lot of people know Dolores Cannon. This is the work that she put out, and I've studied it, and yeah, I'm at a level 3. And it is fantastic. It addresses past lives, future lives, concurrent lives as well. Oh, and if you listen to the Show Me Scares podcast, the hosts talk about their experience doing a group QHHT session with me. Oh, and I would like to plug my podcast, if I may.
Oh, God bless you. Please do.
Because you've been on my podcast.
Yes, I have.
This is the Radiate Wellness podcast, and we interview all kinds of folks all over the world about what they do, what they write. So I practice basically readings, Reiki, and regression. So any type of reading. I'm a medical intuitive and also a Reiki master, so I bring that to my Reiki. And then this quantum healing hypnosis technique. It's powerful stuff, Sean. I've been trying to get you to do it.
I talked to Sharon about it. She was interested in your course. She is, I'm not ashamed to say it. I don't know where we would be without her, because she's a workaholic. Office manager at one of the busiest animal hospitals here in town for 15 plus years, probably much longer than that, as far back as I can remember. But she works 6 days a week, 10-hour shifts. I'm there on an extreme part-time basis as a vet tech. But and even on her days off, she's in the office here working on homework for the office in the hospital. So
bless her
it's
heart.
just her schedule. And me, then when I say that to her, she will go, "Don't you realize, honey, your plate's just as full as mine, if not more?" She reminds me of all the things I do. I forget the students that I'm teaching and the appointments that people have made with me for spiritual advisor and all the cases. Oh my gosh, I can't get to the cases that have piled up on me. I have to constantly, recommend other teams to take them over for me. And, who knows, and working on these shows. I mean, got the Friday show and the Monday show, and it's, a lot of people that have done this for many, many years probably find it extremely easy. I like to take time to try to prepare, and probably doesn't look it, but I try to take time to prepare and put on a good show. So yeah, I'm very busy too, but we feel bad we missed that last event course that you had. Hopefully we can catch the next one. But oh my gosh, I got to like 4 questions of the 20 some, and a few of them were people that were fans and followers of yours that sent me in questions. I'm going to have to apologize to them that I didn't get to that. I'll have you back, I promise, because you're a very special lady. I love you. I respect you. You are so talented, and you give so much back to this thing we do. And I don't even know what that is. But when you come back, I want to talk about tarot versus bibliomancy versus claromancy versus hypnosis and meditation. I believe they can communicate and marry well together, and it's needed right now with everybody suffering from this pandemic. Suicides are off the charts, depression, mental illness. That's what you and I'll save that topic for when you come back so we can try and help some people out there that are really, really struggling with this. So thank you so much for spending an hour out of your busy Friday afternoon to visit with me and my viewers. I can feel all the love for you coming through the airways here, that everybody appreciates it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it, Sean. That's very kind. Extremely.
You have a wonderful remainder of your day. Hopefully you don't
too.
get too many more spirit spam calls today. And I will be in touch, okay?
Okay, thank you, darling. See
God
you
bless
next
you.
week.
Okay, Christi. Brothers and sisters, Christi Clemons Hoffman, follow her, become a student of hers, take some of her courses. Wonderful, wonderful woman. I'm sorry I didn't get to all the things I wanted to talk to her about. I apologize if you sent me in a question, I didn't get to it. The hour just flies by. I will have her back, I promise. I hope the person that our message, that the Ghost Box session that we did, got validation. Reach out to me if you'd like to talk to me about that. I will be here next week with another all new live, brand new episode. My guest will be, get your passports ready. We're taking a boat trip. We are headed to the most haunted land down under, Haunt Australia. Australia's leading paranormal authority, author, she's going to rock your world. Alison O'Bourne will be here next Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific. And I want to thank two people. My very special producer, the beautiful, talented, passionate Adrienne Hart, aka Ghost Granny, Desert Heart Paranormal. And I want to thank the Paranormal United Network for simulcasting my show on their Facebook Live page and their other social media platforms. And I want to give a big shout out. If you're free in an hour, go have a quick bite to eat, go to the bathroom, come back. Tune in to the Paranormal United Network Facebook Live page in an hour. There's a show coming up, a very special, The 13th Dimension is coming up. They have a very special guest, Russell Edwards. Apparently, he's going to tell us all who Jack the Ripper was. Spoiler alert, it was Mr. Hyde. But don't tell Jekyll. He doesn't know. This is going to be a great show. I'm going to tune in because I want to find out who the guy. I always thought it was H.H. Holmes. And then he left and came to America before he started, doing his dirty deeds here. But that'll be an interesting show. So that's in 1 hour on the Paranormal United Network, Facebook Live page, The 13th Dimension. Guys, I love you all. I don't have a show without all of you. Heartfelt thank you for everybody for tuning in. Remember, stop the violence, stop the anger. Anger is just a punishment that we put on ourselves for somebody else's mistakes. God bless you all. I love you all. You're all on the prayer list. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless you all. Peace.